All right, so let's start sharp. So hello everyone. Today we will be running the third session from this fifth Gemvision Virtual Summit. On the first day, we had all the explanations from Harold and also Alison showing us jewelry business case from one of our best customers that we have in the Louisiana state, where they have MatrixGold, counter sketch, the benign printer. So it was coming all very, very well along, explaining the big picture. Now, in the coming days, we will try to go deeper. So yesterday, we start with counter sketch, and we were giving a view about how we choose all the different models that we add into our library. Also, of course, in stellar.com and all the 3C models, and also how are we choosing the ones that will go into counter sketch and ever. There was also Jason that was telling us about the CAD CAM team on how do they get all the files, how they revise these files and validate, just to be sure that they are ready for production. So the counter sketch customers can have the final piece in their hands, just ready to deliver to the final customer. Today is the third day, as I said. Today we'll be talking more about MatrixGold and how the people is using globally MatrixGold, right? So there are different trends depending on where you are using MatrixGold. MatrixGold is popular all over the world, so here's a Momo today that he has been for a long time living in Thailand. Derek is in US and Chesco is Barcelona, Europe. So they will be able to give us, and just a view, a point of view from all these different areas. So let me talk a bit about each of them. So Chesco, as I said, he lives in Barcelona. I'm happy to see that today each of you has the same kind of background, but he has been in the jewelry trade from, I would say, from forever. So I know Chesco for a long time. So he has been working in the jewelry trade forever. So all the different progress that the jewelry trade has done, and in the last years, he has been very focused on CAD. So he also has a lot of knowledge of 3D printers, and this is a very good point of view for people when they purchase MatrixGold, because then they know also what happens after they design anything in MatrixGold. As I said, Chesco is our partner in Spain, so thanks to him, we have MatrixGold spare all over the country. So, hello, Chesco, how are you today?
Hi, Ariel. Thanks for meeting me. I'm very good, thanks.
All right. Also, we have Derek. Derek works in the CAD/CAM team. He's the sketch seniors. Just they we had Jason. They are in the same team, and it's the same, not the same story, but close to Chesco, right? So Derek has been always related to jewelry. His family had already a jewelry shop, custom jewelry shop. So from there, he learned from sketch to produce the files. And you can see this when you sit just beside him and you see him talking and designing any piece of jewelry. I had the opportunity many times to sit beside him, and he showing me how he designed any of the orders that we get in the sketch CAD/CAM team in Stellar. And you will see today that it's amazing what he does. So hello, Derek, how are you today?
Doing very well.
And
It's good
last
to
we
be
have,
here.
okay. And last we have Momo. Momo, I always call you Momo, Mosen. I always get lost on how I call you. But Momo, lately he has joined our company, so he is also helping us in Gemvision, Stellar. But he has also been, living for a long time in Thailand, so he has a very good idea on how the people is using the software more in the Asia area, because he has been teaching many people with MatrixGold before he was doing with Matrix. So he has also a lot of experience on jewelry, because something that he also does a lot is travel around the world to the shows, knowing about the brands, what are the trends, how to design these trends in MatrixGold, and you can see all this knowledge once he starts to talk about MatrixGold. So hello Momo, how are you today?
Hello, Oriol. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining to this summit. I hope my content will be helpful for you. Thank you.
For sure that it will be very, very helpful. So as you can see, we have three, I like to call them three beasts here. So once they start to talk about designing, it will take a lot. So they, all of them are passionate about designing in CAD, designing in MatrixGold. So today, Chesco will talk more about the parametric side with a collection that he has been working on that is related more to Barcelona. So he will show this trend and the way on how to design it parametrically. Derek will also talk more about the trends that he see in US and how to work on those trends using the parametric of MatrixGold, but at the same time the sub-D. So this is something that the people probably is not as used as Derek is, and it's amazing what you can achieve with these techniques. And finally, Momo will talk us also a bit about what you can see in countries like Thailand, and then how you can achieve all these designs with MatrixGold, with some of the last tools that we have releasing in MatrixGold. So this is all that I have to do today. Now it's my time to just sit down and enjoy these three amazing designers how starts with their presentation. So Chesco, when you are ready, if you wanna, I will stop sharing my screen, and if you wanna start sharing your screen and going through your slides, I leave it to you.
Okay, thank you. Let me just go ahead. Got it. Just give me a second. Got it. So, right. So I do a kind of consultancy for the companies. And the thing is that, companies buy our software and buy printers, but sometimes they don't know how far they can go with their designs. How can they expand their designs, right? Because most of the times, small companies doesn't have the time to test new pieces, new designs, because it's a lot of investment in time, more than in money, in time, right? So 3 years ago, I thought that maybe it could be a good idea to create a real collection of jewelry that would include some concepts of, the the resolve or the solution of some problems that we have already in the jewelry sector. So I thought about new shapes and concepts. Obviously, the weight of metal, we all know how expensive gold is nowadays. And we have to reduce at some point, the amount of metal that we put, the weight. And of course, how to use our printing technologies and materials, because we have wax, we have resin, and I think that all of them are very useful, but it depends on the piece that you're making, right? So I thought it could be a good idea, to get involved in, difficult pieces. And for that, I got inspired in Barcelona. And, here in Spain or in Barcelona, we like to mix architectural and jewelry. So I got inspired in many things about Barcelona. So these pieces are made, as you see, I was playing around with shapes, right? For instance, I think I've missed one. For instance, in these pieces, I create volume. These are pieces that have very light weight because they are draft. And the thing is that I have created this draft with the tile of Barcelona. I will show you later. The thing is that also these stones are cut by a friend of mine called Igor Gavrilenko, who is cutting with also computer techniques, right? And the thing is that this, for instance, this stone is created with the technique of the trencadís of Gaudi, right? So, of course, one of our concerns is, the shape and then the pavé. So here we have a couple of pieces too that I have created with, all the dynamic tools of pavé. If you ask about it, yes, I have made the pavé with several techniques. There's no automatic pavé that makes a very beautiful pavé. So you have to mix techniques with sometimes even on curves, sometimes placing stones one by one with our tools. And here, with this one, I got inspired with the lamps on the streets. So I was mixing techniques of sub-D. And here as well, I was creating some sub-D shapes. And for today, I have created one special piece called Gaudi's Star that I'm going to explain you a little bit how I came to that, and also how how parametric design has let me develop this design, right? So,
Chesco, before you keep going into that, there are two questions. The first one is, how did the casting came out? So you print and cast all those pieces, right? And the pictures are actual casting, so everything came out very, very nice.
Yes. Well, I can tell you that for these ones, I can also tell you what resin I used.
Just do it short. Do it short because
this is power resins, opaque, and they come very beautiful. We need to make another workshop for this.
Exactly.
These are with super wax from Asiga, and these are all opaque resin from power resins. I've been using resin for maybe 15 years. So I know very well, you have to make sure that all the process to cast the resin is made well, but they came very well. I'm going to show you the casting of this one. So to get this one, I got influenced by Sagrada Familia. I always wanted to do something with the Sagrada Familia, but I find it very, very difficult because, that place, that church is amazing. If you have ever have the opportunity to go to Sagrada Familia, inside it's really amazing. But, when you want to make a part of jewelry, to take just one thing to me, it was so difficult. So I got inspired with the 4 columns of the Passions facade. I will show you now. I created everything with parametric modeling, everything but the star from the inside, right? The central star is the basilica's inner dome inside. I'll show you later the photo. And the gem cut is inspired in the technique of Gaudí, trencadís. Right, so the thing is that I was looking for a cultural fusion looking for the lightweight, I integrated the Middle Eastern and Asian aesthetic of the draft, right? Here. This is something that Gaudi used to do a lot, mixing techniques of Asia coming to Europe. I was looking for lightness, and of course I did it. I used resin, and also I tested wax in here. Finally, I got the casting in resin. So this one is the facade that I was inspired by, right? You can see here the 4 columns. Now you can see here the arc of the dome, right? So for the draft, here we have a tile that is called the panot, which is on the floor of all Barcelona, right? And that's very, typical for us. So I transformed it. This is an engraved on the floor. I transformed it into a draft, right? Then for the central gem, I got inspired on the inner dome. You see that there's a kind of star in here. So I did, like a halo around the stone. And this is the stone. I mean, I'm not able to make a beautiful photo that really show you how beautiful is this stone, because when it moves and the light goes in, it sparks. So it's a really very good job of Igor Gabrielenko. It's really amazing. And this is what I have explained you about the Trencadis technique. He made walls, he made sculptures with it, and it's very typical from Barcelona. So the process. I will show you now, after this, how I did some tips about the parametric thing, but this was the resin, okay? It's vintage resin made with an Asiga. And this is also made with a solid-state printer. And this is the casting, okay? I did some tricks. I split it in 2 parts because I wanted the jeweler to polish everything very well. And the thing is that sprueing was a little bit of trick. Of course, I did a boolean from the halo to the top part of the piece, okay, in order to weld it everything. And this is the final piece, right? I took a photo on the facade just to, to get the picture of the inspiration. Right, so let me now show you a little bit about some tips. I'm not going to explain you all the piece because, it will take me the whole hour.
And you have 5 minutes.
Yes, I'll make it. Right, so the thing is that I'm going to show you how I did, the columns with the parametric sweep. And I think it's very interesting because this comes from stones, gem guides, and then blend curves. And then you get a parametric sweep, that if you move the stone can, recalculate the sweep. Okay, so how I did this? I placed 3 stones, right? And then we have here the gem guides, right? Now I'm going to blend this curve here with this one here. Okay, so we have one curve. And then same thing with this one. we flip it. Okay. So now we have two rails that are parametric, right? And depend on this gem here. Now, if we blend this one here with this one here, what we have is a parametric profile, okay? So now here we do a sweep to rails with this one, and this one. Okay, comes the other way around. The thing is that then when we sweep it, we have this sweep that it's completely parametric. And the thing is that here, I can change the curves, so I can change the shape, right? And as I told you before, if you move one stone, okay, then it's going to change the shape, right? So if I want a column, I just need to mirror to the other side.
And I really like these little workflows, I would call them, because these are the things that are nice from MatrixGold, that once you start to understand the parametric, you can push it so far that there are a lot of these little tricks that sometimes you wouldn't imagine, that just using three stones plus the gem guides, you can end up achieving a column like the one that you are just doing here.
Yes, that's where I got engaged in MatrixGold. I mean, parametrics is very nice when you want to make a halo, when you want to make a ring with cathedral rings. That's great. That's what the program gives you. This is where you can push the software and go farther, right? So let me show you now how I did the pattern, right? Because of course, then we have, a sweep and we want to put a pattern on top, right? And then when we move the column, then the pattern will recalculate. The thing is that we have to add on the pattern the tile, the Barcelona style. I have added it here. Then okay, so we have the pattern, right? And then here we can change the amount of tiles that we want. I'm going to change it to 4, and I'm going to say I want just 1. And then I'm going to, it's very thick here. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. So the thing is that I was playing around and printing different amount of tiles on my tower, right? And the thing is that if now I move this stone, obviously it's going to recalculate everything. So to me, it was a way of designing, of looking of what I wanted, because I was, evolving my design while I was doing these changes. So we got to
And
this
yeah,
part.
Chesco, if you just show us now the last one, because then it's now 25 minutes, so then we can go with Derek and Mosen. But
Great,
this
the last
looks
one.
this looks amazing. I mean, it's for people. I don't know how many of the people that is here have been lucky to be in front of the Sagrada Familia, but uh, it it really makes you think about the Sagrada Familia when you look at it like this.
Yeah. The last thing I want to do is, just place this thing on top, right? What I did, this is the, the thing is that it's on top of every column. So because we have one diamond on each column, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a orient to gem. So that way it's going to copy this one to the other columns. So with orient to gem, the base gem is here. Now, the object is this one. Now the target gems are this one, and it's going to copy on top, right? So now if I move this stone, everything is going to come with that. Okay. That was the last trick I wanted to show.
No, but it's amazing. It's just and I like Chesco really. I really like you showing that because sometimes people needs to see this or needs to make this click. I call it this click because this opens a lot of opportunities. You, I would say that this is a very, very small percentage of what you can achieve with Parametric. You have been using it today just with gem guides, as I said before, and the orient to gem. But just a tool like the orient to gem that is just when you learn it the first time is an orient to gem, but with the different scenarios, in the different scenarios where you can use it, it's amazing.
Right. Yes. What I would like to say is that you don't have to think about playing with the stones. You
Exactly.
can use gem guides as a reference point,
Mhm.
and then it changes everything. And then you can do many other things. So don't get stuck on what you see on the software, but think about what you can do with the tools. That's the thing.
Thank you so much, man.
You're
I
very
can see
welcome.
that. No, but I love it because all the people that we are here today, everyone is, but we are people really, really passionate about designing jewelry with the software. So once you can explain what you feel, I believe that all the ones that we are here today, we could be just explaining, or even like Jason that was explaining about counter sketch validating yesterday. So we feel it. So we would be able to talk about it hours and hours. But anyway, let's go. Let's try to be on time,
Yes.
Derek. So Derek, if you want to start sharing your screen, please, whenever you have the time to do it, and
Get
so
that
we
up
can start.
right now.
We can start seeing how you master the sub D.
Hi, everybody.
Fantastic.
And anyone that knows me too knows that I love to talk, and not because I like to hear the sound of my own voice, but just because I am a yapper, and that's just how it is. Okay, so my whole thing here is not quite focusing on a particular trend, but just like a general trend in jewelry as a whole. Seeing as how the trend is now custom design. You go in anywhere, people make a mounting for you. They don't necessarily pick something out of a case. So that has required a lot of independent jewelers and designers to just be a lot more flexible with the tools that they use and the pieces that they create. You may start with the starting point of something that you've started with before, and building them in this way gives you a great way to be able to modify on the fly and just get really detailed, but without having to start from scratch. I think a lot of people that do a lot of surface modeling know that that can be kind of a pain. So starting with sub-D and Parametrics and MatrixGold, it's a great pairing to be able to get them moving. So on this first slide here, let me see, is it jumping through? There we go. So what is a sub-D? So this is a type of object that was added in Rhino 7. So it's been in the software for a while, and a lot of our tools in MatrixGold work with it, and in conjunction with all of our parametrics. So super lightweight. So things that are pretty complex don't bog down your machine. Super versatile. You can do kind of whatever you want with it. And then the geometry is directly editable. So if you see something that you want to change, you can click on it and change it, which I think is really, really big for a lot of people. So just showcasing a few things here. I made a couple of animations for these. Let's see if it actually wants to go. Oh, there we go. So just quickly, subdenal polysurface, they may look a little bit different depending on what your settings are, but you can just see how they look in comparison to each other. The other one on the right is just a sweep with the same exact profile that is used on this sub D to be able to put it together. They look a little different, but they act kind of pretty similar. So directly editable geometry that works with parametrics is a really big thing here. So on the instance on the left, you can see you can just grab any loop is what they're called. They act just like a profile on a sweep, and you can just move it, and then everything will just update along with the curve that you decided to pull from that model. So this makes it so you're really versatile. If you're in front of a client or you need to make a minor change to something, you can just grab it and move it, and it just changes it for you. The same thing here. Booleaning is always kind of a pain point, especially if you work with a lot of history or parametrics. Once you boolean something, you're locked in. You can't change that model anymore without having to go back a couple of steps or go back to the version of the model before you had booleaned it. And let's say you are, 25 steps down the line, already adding detail, already adding engraving, doing hollow outs. It's very easy to go, oh, they wanted to make a minor change, but now I have to go all the way back and do it all over again. So this keeps it incredibly flexible, just in terms of where you can put cuts on pieces, flow channels on organic pieces, do hollow outs, really just do a lot of planning on the fly. So that way, even if you are so far into it, you do not have to start over. Okay, this lets you easily adjust complex designs. So something like this isn't crazy complex, but people who are familiar, you'll know that this takes a couple of operations normally to be able to make your bezel, draw your lines, so you carry your cutter, do your boolean, place your mill grain or your stones or whatever you have it. And then when you go to adjust it, you'll have to maybe start over depending on the nature of it. And even changing the angle of that bezel can be difficult to do. So in doing this, especially being able to just grab any portion of it, scale it out, and the whole thing just updates on the fly is incredibly powerful. This is something too that's really cool is easy set looks and quad reflection. So something that I know all of us who've worked in the software for a while that knows is a little bit of a pain point is like, well, I only work on a quarter of the piece, and then I'm always just trying to update it. I'll split it and mirror it across, but you can have active reflection on, which allows you to be able to just design on one quarter and the whole thing moves around with it. And it also creates organic manifolds, which if you've tried to do surface modeling is a big pain point. They're very hard to make look nice, and they're very hard to get things to blend organically together. And especially when you're manufacturing pieces and you're doing a lot of your casting, you really don't want hard corners, hard edges, things that are not reflected in nature. They're not natural geometry. And as a result, when the metal flows into that mold, when you have it printed, it'll hit a corner and bounce. And we don't want that. We want everything to kind of flow through. This is more of a modern phenomena. Back in the day when you're hand carving waxes, I mean, if you're melting a portion of it, the wax is just going to melt and be organic. But when you're doing something in CAD, it's going to want to be a little more geometric just because of the nature of how we model things. So this gives you that option to be a little bit more organic and get a little bit better in just a portion of it. So we all know that as we move more into e-commerce, you are seeing a lot more emphasis on renders of product, especially with the price of gold going up. It's a lot harder to keep product on hand. So consumers these days are more likely to start with a CAD, start with a render, and just move straight into production from there. They may not even see a wax. So having to create a render model that looks realistic is a bit of a pain point. You have to change a bunch of your considerations, right? Your production model is going to have longer prongs, so you can actually set them, seats that are already pre-cut, and fillets that are there for casting that may not necessarily be present once you have finished the piece. But when you render something, you want everything to have set prongs. You want to have thinner gallery rails. You want to have blended geometry, things that are just going to look nice and look like a finished piece of jewelry, which when you're making a CAD, you're making a preform. It's much like carving your wax. Like there's not quite going to be all the detail there. So this is something where when you build with a sub-D, you can just get a little bit closer to that finished product by being able to just adjust things just a little bit. You want to make that gallery rail thinner, just grab the outside of the gallery rail, scale it in. You want to make your prongs look set, you can just grab the top of the prong, scale it down, pull it into place, make it look pointed. It makes it very versatile to be able to move things around. And that lets you come up with renders that look like this. I mean, pretty photorealistic. Everything's set down, everything is where it's supposed to be, everything looks pretty good. But it just begs the question, just how flexible can we make this? And how flexible can we be using this kind of workflow? So I'm going to jump over to MatrixGold really quickly, just kind of showcase something. So
now everyone wants now to show it. So you impress us with GIFs. Now it's time to show it. Come on, Derek.
Okay. So everyone who has worked with a retail client before knows how unreliable they can be when it comes to getting information. So somebody will come in and go, hey, I really want to do like a signet ring or something. And, I have my grandfather's ring and he's got a really big cabochon in it. It's enormous. We're going to put that in there. And then they come back later and go, well, actually, grandpa's ring wasn't that big and it's 2 cabochons. And now I need to change up the design. But maybe you've already gotten this far into it. You already made a signet ring to be able to have a nice little bezel in here so that you can set a stone. So for instance, let's say they brought in 2 8x6 cabochon stones, right? Doesn't matter really what they are, but they're just 8x6 ovals. So we'll bring a couple of those in. And in fact, we'll just bring one in for right now, just to be able to kind of illustrate this. So they have 2 now. They want to make it a trois moi. So 1 stone on each side, kind of offset a little bit and sort of taper everything down. But we've already done this much work and don't really feel like starting over completely. So why don't we just take this and make it a trois moi and not really spend too much time in doing so, right? So from here, what I can do is kind of designate where I want this stone to sit. And then I gotta cut this open and turn it into 2 different rings, which sounds like it would be kind of a lot of work, but it really isn't that much work. And doing this, we can remove these sections here and then create a bridge that runs across. This little dialog box pops up, which hopefully you can see, but it lets you kind of determine what a little bit of the straightness of this curve is and how many edges you want to fit onto here, so you can make it more structured or less structured. Edges are a fun thing. Once you get used to working in this, you get a better idea as to how many edges you need on things. So this way we can come through, and I always whip to the inside of the model, and it's gonna be a little jarring. And we can start to build this piece and break it into 2, right? So we're gonna stitch these guys together so we can have 2 distinct chambers here to be able to set these stones. Second set of edges, these guys come together. And then I can put my creases here on the bottom so it looks a little bit better. So we can add a bit of structure and put it back in here. And now this way, well, I have 2 parts here, but I want to be able to split it into 2. So I need to make a spot where I can actually break it apart. So for instance, we're going to insert an edge. So what that lets you do is draw on the surface and put a whole nother loop on here. So that way we can split it at that spot. And then we can just start working on the one part we want to work on. And I saw that Chesco had he was doing the fancy zooms, so he's definitely got one of those 3D mice. I definitely don't have one of those. So now we can unweld this edge, and what that does is it lets us split it apart, right? So now we have 2 distinct portions, but I really only want half, so we're just gonna take the whole other half and just get rid of it, and then we need to close this up. So we can grab all these edges here. Make sure we're matching. 2, 3. I think counting would be easier, but it's not. There we go. There we go. So now from here, we can take this little patch panel that we made and we can stick everything together. Close this guy up. If I could click on the right one, that would be helpful. And something with this and something that sort of what goes through my head when I'm doing this is thinking about how would I put this together on the bench and what kind of techniques are used to be able to accomplish this sort of look. So whether that comes down to like if you're cutting a recess, if you're taking a graver and running it across, like what are those shapes going to look like? And that helps to better inform exactly what we need to do to it to be able to adjust it. So now I'm left with my 1/2 here, and I can put a reflection onto this, so that way I can work with another side and only work on one side. So this lighter area is my working side, the darkening area is my reflected side. There's some fun little quirks that come with working like this, but for right now, I'm not too concerned. It's more just to demonstrate how we're going to get this to come together. Maybe I don't need that edge because I want it to be a little bit more round, so I can just get rid of it. And then maybe on this corner here, I want to adjust this whole thing to pull it in so we're a little bit tighter to our stone. So I can actually grab the portions of this that I want to pull and just pull those in. And that way I can get everything closer.
And working always with these reflections, I believe that is very important because when you are just pushing edges, faces, it's very easy that you miss some of them and then you start to get not symmetrical geometries. So I believe that it's a good point using it, how you're using it here.
And it depends too, right? Like sometimes you'll want the reflection on, but sometimes you won't. There are some quirks about working about the axis of symmetry here. So for example, if I pull this to one side, it'll another edge, but if I'm pulling over here, it might remove one. So there's some interesting quirks. And if you're throwing a reflection onto something that wasn't already symmetrical, sometimes what that can do is it will pull that center line and move it ever so slightly off axis. And then when you reflect it, you get some funky geometry that you're going to have to fix. So kind of keeping everything planar, keeping everything flat from the start, I think is a really good starting point, especially when you're starting off until you figure out, well, I messed it up, I need to fix it. So let's take this edge here and let's make it a little bit sharper. So that way we can designate where our stone's going to go. And we can flip this into ghost. Well, I didn't want to go like that, but we can flip it into ghosted view so we can kind of see where we're overlapping and be able to adjust from there. Cool thing with this is we can actually zoom inside of a stone and then grab the portions that we need to adjust and just adjust it. Makes things a lot easier in the long run, and just make sure that we are kind of in the right spot. So now we have this whole piece here. We want to scale everything in to maybe make this a little bit more tapered so it's not so big. We can just grab the whole bottom of it and we can just shrink it down. Grab the individual portions of the shank that you want to adjust and just scale these guys in. So we are where we want to end up. Right now, they wanted this to be a trois mois, but maybe let's say they said, oh, grandma's ring has a little bit of stones in it. We want the stones to fall along this interior portion here as well. So we can actually just make that cut in this section here. So we can copy in place. So what that will do is it pops off our edge here. So that way we can take this piece and get rid of this section because we no longer need it. That's going to reflect that on both sides. Well, let's remove reflection here because this is going to get weird if I don't do that. We can offset this guy. So that way we can keep our hard measurements. Somebody, I think Oriel asked me, he's like, how do you make sure that you're just keeping up an actual measurement and have a tolerance as opposed to just kind of freewheeling it and then you're up with something too thin? The portions where I know I'm going to have a construction element, I will use commands that will let me designate how far I can put things. So for example, in this section here, I want to make sure this recess is deep enough to be able to set stones into. So maybe like 0.5 millimeter will be good. Maybe that's a little deep depending on how big those stones are, but we can offset that by 0.5 millimeter. We can get rid of this piece here, and then we can put everything back together. So by using that same bridge command, we can grab this outside edge here, this portion here, and we can put it together. So let's do 2 segments. Let's make sure this is straight. Let's do 1 segment. How's that sound? And then from here, we can take this and make it hard edged. So that way we are a little bit closer to where we want to be. So I can pull this in just a little bit to fix that edge. If we hit tab, you can kind of see what the computer sees on the backside. It flips into that square output. So if you're used to working in Clay U2, this is very, very similar. And then from here, we can put our structure back in. Let's do like a 55. So that way we have a nice flat section that we want to put stones. And if we want to put the stones on the center of this portion here, we can just grab this edge, put it in this portion. Hello, come to the middle, middle and the middle. And middle one more time. Now what this lets us do is gives us a center line where we can grab this, we can dupe this edge, and then now we have a great curve that we can now use gem on curve, right?
And
we can point this at our sub D.
While you are designing, Derek, also there is one question that I suppose that because you are going super fast, because you are very familiar with this flow.
Sorry.
But no, I mean, also we are short in time. But Claude is just asking how I can add them on my MatrixGold screen to start to use them, right? So it's not because you go with just on the command line, and they want to know where do you grab these tools from? Not the one from the gems, but all the ones that you are using for SUBD. So I would say that the question is here, if someone needs to start to use them, what do you advise to start, seeing on what tools they can access for the SUBD? What would be the first steps that you would you using? Just bring the tab from Rhino, or what you would do?
I would say bring the tab in from Rhino. Anybody who brings in commands from Rhino knows that it is a little overwhelming. There is a ton of them. There are, I always hate to say like, oh, go look on YouTube or do something like that. But there are some pretty good tutorials as to like what commands people use. And those are the ones that are the most important. So that's like bridge and stitch, unweld edge, 3D face, all of those are really good to start off with. But you can access the toolbar, which I don't use because it got confusing for me, by going into toolbar, and then I think there's a section here where you can scroll down, and these are all your Rhino toolbars that are hidden in MatrixGold. But you can go to, I believe it's sub D down here. Solid tools.
Sub D, yeah.
Sub D sidebar and sub D tools. So if you check those two, you'll get these guys, and you can dock these wherever you want, and then you can click on them. Everything that I'm typing is here. It's just another icon to memorize, which is no big deal. Once you pick it up, you'll be able to just fly with it.
Yeah, but it's a good way to start, to work with them and play with it at the very beginning. So you see in real time what you can achieve with them.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna throw stones on here. I mean, we can fine tune and adjust this any way that we want. But for example, as I run the toolbar command again on accident, you can even take these portions. So if you're doing pave or you do a lot of pave, it can be really frustrating to be able to adjust your panels when you're putting your stones in. So it's like chicken and egg. Do I start with the stones? Do I start with the panel? Where do I want it to end up? But this lets you kind of adjust both on the fly, because you can actually just grab the portion that you want and scoot it in. And then especially if you did it with a little bit of history combined with our parametrics, that it will actually update the portions of your stones. If that center line moves a little bit, your stones will update alongside that. And then that way you can really have a high degree of control over this object and over these portions, right? So that's that part there. We can now throw a reflection back on here, and I'll show you the weirdness that's probably going to happen. Is you'll see that it will reflect across and it'll mess with some of my geometry here. So that's why it's good to kind of like make sure we're always on axis. It's not something that's too terribly difficult to troubleshoot, because you can take the whole loop and you can just scale this to the middle. There's a projected point in the middle there. And then we should be able to reflect that now, because now it's actually in the dead center. It took all those points and moved them along. If not, it's going to make a fool out of me, but it wouldn't be the first time. Yeah, no big deal. So either way, now if we want to go ahead and take this guy here and move it to the other side, we can take this, we can do a command called radiate, and we have 2 segments, and we're going to go at 0, and it will radiate this across. If everything works out perfectly and all of your seams and everything lines up, this will join on the bottom in the perfect spot. At some point along the line here, it did shift, so it did kind of mess up just a little bit. But what this lets you do is you can grab now your portions of this piece. Let's do this actually. I'm going to scoot this back just a little bit. It's actually a pretty good showcase of this. So for example here, if I wanted to take this whole section and just kind of move it anywhere I want it to go, like let's just say we just scoot it back a little bit, right? And then I scoot my stone along with that, which wasn't in my selection. Now if I do radiate, okay, and put it in the middle, now I can see that section there. And if I grab any portion of this now to be able to adjust it, so for example, let's just grab that whole top section again, along with this, I can take this piece and I can scoot it and everything will update alongside of it. So we have a little bit of radial symmetry going on, which is a really, really, really big help, especially if you're doing some of these more organic pieces. It can be a pain in the butt to be able to make them flow properly on either side, and just make everything line up how we want it to.
Well, the flow always with the sub-D it's very very smooth and it's very eye-catching, right? So when you have and because you can work with the different faces with that you always can get this union between each face that makes this flow very very smooth and appealing.
Yeah. The other really cool thing that you can do too is, especially because we can notice that this piece here is quite heavy. I'm just going to patch this back up just because it is bugging me that this is open. So I can just bridge that back together and just patch up that hole. Give it a second while my parametrics update. So what that lets us do is we can actually take this section here. This section is actually set up perfectly for it. And we can just pull this in so that way we can add a little bit of a hollow out in here, and adjust some of our thicknesses in combination with, let's see here, if we just go to the ghosted view, then you can get a good sense of exactly how deep we're going, how close we are to those stones, and we can see kind of an X-ray view of just how much metal that we're removing. This gives you a high degree of control over what you're making and what it looks like. I know for years, working with my dad, we would always be working on something, surface modeling and doing a sweep and look at a corner and be like, if I could just grab this one little corner right here and just move it a little bit. Well, you can now grab the one little corner and you can just move it a little bit, to be able to get it to where you want it to go. So that's kind of all I have for you guys now. I don't want to go too far over on time. I don't actually know how long it took me to kind of run through this quickly.
No,
But
you
this
did
was sort of like the
fantastic.
speed run version of it all.
Look, we know that normally on this session that we talk about MatrixGold, we always take a bit longer. So for anyone who's watching this, we still have one more presentation that is the one from Momo. But it's all the content is so interesting that I believe that is worth it if we go a bit further than what we expected. So Derek, thank you so much.
You're
You
very
gave
welcome.
us another point of view that I really love. And this is what this session today is about, right? So all these different ways that you can work in MatrixGold. All right, Momo, it's your turn now. Whenever you are ready, please, you can start sharing your screen and show us what you have. Thank you, Derek.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you, Oreo. Thank you, Jesco. Thank you, Drake. What an amazing presentation. It was really joyful for me. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me share my screen. And okay.
We see that.
Okay, right? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
it's opening. Now it's opening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. As a part of the Thai community, I would love to say hello, everyone in Thai. So we would say, Sawadee Kap, Sawadee Kun Krap.
Oh, you
So
are
you know the
losing
Thai
it.
people.
You are losing it, Momo, because you are living in Barcelona now. You are losing it.
Yes, but it's good for practice because I don't want to forget my Thai language. Now every day I practice Spanish. So yeah, but it's a very lovely language. It is. Okay, so I would love to talk about Thai trends, jewelry trends in Thailand. But as everybody knows, different people, different taste. So in Southeast Asia, that Thailand is a part of Southeast Asia, we have different kind of taste with different people. For example, in Thailand, we have very big hypermarket and department stores that you can find Cartier, you can find Tiffany and Van Cleef and Arpels. So some people goes there, some of them know they don't like to buy there, but this is the highlights of the current jewelry trends in Thailand. One of them is some people prefer buying very big objects, like very bold, ornamented with different things. And if you follow GIT jewelry competition every year, which happen every year, you will see that most judges are from the Thailand. Just maybe 2 out of 8 is a foreigner. They are foreigner, but most of them are Thai industry owners, or they working for the government, or they working for. They have their own company. So the winners, they create very, very big stuff. This kind of they are the winners for 2025. So as you see, some part of the industry like to have big jewelry, so something like this, or this is a very traditional kind of jewelry in Thailand that we can see every day. That people love to buy is a combination of gemstones and also enamel and these kind of ornamental things. It's very popular in Thailand. And also Thai people, they care about organic and sculptural shapes like dragons, Buddha faces, and these kind of things, because it's completely related to the Buddhism culture and religion. So as you know, Thailand is one of these, it's the center of one of the countries which has Buddhism religion. So they care a lot. They have a lot of festivals. They have a lot of ceremonies about that. And also in Thailand, you can find silver also a lot. Even we have a very long street start from Bangkok to Chinatown, just selling silver. And they have a lot of shops selling silver, and they are good. And Thai silver is very, I think, admired in industry. They love it because of the quality, and also again because of the religion and culture. We have some sacred symbols like lotus and naga. That this is they are very, very popular in Thailand, that you can see. So we have some inspirational designs with these. For example, this is always inspired by lotus that we can see in Thai market or even in the world. And also this one, they believe that they help them, they support them, they bring money and these kind of things. So they carry every day, they wear it every day and daily. And also some things related to, in West culture, we have Art Deco, Art Nouveau, Edwardian, Georgian, Victorian era, right? So in Thailand also we have Ayutthaya and Sukhothai periods that we have a lot of designs there, but we don't have enough time to talk about this kind of thing, but you can find on the internet if you want. And also another things is talisman for protection, as I told you. It's a very big market, very, very big market. The people like to wear it, and they believe that it can protect them from the evil or bad thing or bad luck and these kind of things. So one of the reasons that I bought a 3D scanner is because of this one, because many people come to me and ask me, can you, I need that one. So it was very difficult to copy this kind of things, but 3D printers help us to copy this kind of things. Legal copy, I mean that because it's very normal, and also MatrixGold supports files from the 3D printers. It's amazing, and you can manage this kind of file easily. So yeah, this is something that we have. So gold, silver, gemstone. You know that Thailand is the center of the gemstone in the world, distribution center of the gemstone. So even from all mines and all cutters bring the stones to the Bangkok, especially JTC, and they distribute to the world. So you can find this kind of jewelry there, a traditional, modern, and hybrid. And that's it. So this is a very brief explanation about the Thailand jewelry trend. Now, as everybody knows, Jim, there is a great team behind the MatrixGold development. Many developers works every day to create a new command to help to fix the issues and help and support us as the users of the MatrixGold. And in the latest version, they add some commands. One of the most interesting them is Azure cutters. And as you know, let me talk about the Azure cutters. So Azure, I try to pronounce in French, so this in French, jour, something like that, but I'm not sure in American English, how do you say, what is a jour? Azure Cutter helps, it has a lot of benefits. Light enhancement. So it helps the diamonds looks brighter and more brilliance because, as you know, everything about the diamonds is playing with the light, scintillation, fire, cut, everything that's related to the cut. I'm not talking about the gemstone because there's another factor about the gemstones. It's color saturation, but we're talking about the diamonds. Mostly these kind of cuts used in diamond industry, not in gemstone, because in gemstone we need darker area to help the stones more saturated. But in diamonds, if we have a wider bottom part, we can increase the color. We have decreased the color of the diamond if they have, for example, if they are in GH. And if you have a lighter, if you have a bigger part, you can improve it to even F. If it looks like F, it happens just because of this kind of cuts. And weight reduction dramatically help our models and designs to be more lighter. It's incredibly good, and also design detail. It's even you don't need any backplate or gallery for these kind of things because it's beautiful, as you can see in this Cartier design. They didn't use any backplate because it looks amazing. Voronoi pattern, these kind of things. And this Azure comes from Voronoi pattern that we can find in nature. So that's why we love it, because it's connected. It is a part of us. We believe we belong to the nature too. So you can find in many creatures. So they added this cutter to MatrixGold version 3.10. And what I want to show you guys, I want to show you actually this design that I created. And look at the back of this design. It looks very nice, as you can see, right? And even you want to, if you make something with Azure, you will love to just take a look at the back of this design, because each a hole will be polished and super shiny, especially if you use electro polish or even a good polishing system, and you will get a very shiny area. They reflect the light like a mirror, and helps your diamonds looks better and more nicer. So how did I want to show you a preview of this one. So what I did, let me show you how easy you can make these kind of designs in MatrixGold. Easy, okay. So I just go to front view. As you know, in MatrixGold, we use smart curve that help us to create very nice symmetrical designs, curves. So you can start with that one, some things like this. Okay. And then you can turn on the control point, and you can play with that one to wherever you want. Okay. For example, you like this one. Okay. You can choose either use a SOPD modeling system, surface modeling system, or normal network command. Okay, so both works. But let me show you the power of the Clio that we have in MatrixGold long time ago. And I believe that still Clio is worth to work comparing to the SOPD because SOPD is like a newborn baby. The Clio is like adult. They have their own problems, I believe, but they have more complete command comparing to the SOPD, so we can mix them together and enjoy, as I show you now, that I mix them together and enjoy working with both. So, for example, you wanna just click on this one, and let me change the layer to red, and then we go. If you want to make it with a network, you have to spend more time, and also it's not as beautiful as this one. So let me go to Clayu, and you know that you need to turn it on, and then select this one, and in creation we have from two curves. Okay, and then we can flip it. We don't have it here. Let me just flip this one. Let me turn off the Clayo. Both curves need to have the same direction, DIR, same direction, and then same direction. We're going that one. And then we go to from two curves. Let me just flip curve. Okay, so as you can see, we have some things like this. So in Clayu, you can change the number of the segments and this kind of thing, but I don't care now. Let me repeat again. I want to show you a nice feature in Clayu that it's amazing. And this is the distance. So if you want to just play with this one, you can create a very beautiful shape like that, which is nice. Okay. And then you can turn on the control point and try to follow these kind of things. Okay. So it's interpolated version. So it must be go out of the design. So if when you smooth it, you have a better result to make some things like this. So in nerve system, we cannot get these smooth edges, but in clay or soft system, we can create something like that. Okay. Perfect. Even if you want, you can add more edges to create nicer, but I don't want to do that. And then you can turn off Clio, convert it to Softy. Just click on Softy. Okay. Okay, and then you can go for delete input. Yes. So now this is Softy, and then two nerves. You know that two nerve. So we have one integrated surface. Delete input. Yes. And that's it. So this is the surface. This is the nerve. So you can play you can put a stone on that. You can do whatever you want. You can do offset. So it's exactly same that you use network command, sweep command, or this kind of thing to create these shapes. So for organic shapes, we prefer to mix up with normal nerves modeling system which is but in this way is much more faster. So now you can put the stone, but I already did. So this is what we have here. Let me show you. So what I did. So let me show you. Let me hide this and hide this too. So actually, I use SubD to offset again. So you see that we have a very nice organic shapes here before we convert to two nerves. Okay. And then I use a technique to keep the surface even after converting to the SOPD, I keep the top one and the bottom one. I need the top one to use this stone, to pave this stone, and use the bottom one for the cutters. Okay, so you can use the same technique. First, create your shape, which is something like that. And when you want it to offset, don't use delete input option, yes. keep it as a no. So you have both base surfaces, and then you can put this stone easily on that one. Okay. So now what we have again in the next step, that in MatrixGold we have nice save command that we have in Gem. So either you use whether you use normal from gem on serve command or gem placer or pave works perfectly, and you can have a beautiful pave on your surface because we have enough tools to do that. But even with that one, we can use pave, or we can use gem placer, or we can gem on surface. And then let me show you. And this is what we get. Okay. Oops, let me again. Let me have the gem. Okay, let me hide this one. And then we have Azure Cutter. So in Azure Cutter, you just need to click, it's parametric, and then you have it, right? So it asks you select the surface. It means the bottom one, and then you can press enter and then select the gem, and then you can press enter, and then is start to create this beautiful runway pattern that we call it Azure Cutter, right? You see, and we have a lot of we have some handles to control the Azure. For example, one of them that I would like to tweak with that one or manipulate is outer wall thickness, because we want to protect the outside of the cutter. So it's better to go to 0.5. Okay, to have some things like that, to wait for updates. And then I prefer to keep the wall thickness 0.2, 0.3, because it's not, so you don't need to worry about it's too thin. It's not, because it's going tapered up, so it's thick enough to have successful casting. And then I don't play with that one. I would love to play with the overhang. I mean that one as a So you can go to minus 0.5 to coming out more, because if I show the surface, I want to allow the cutters coming out of the surface. Okay. And the last thing let me repeat again. And the last thing I want to change is the taper one, because by default is a little bit big here. So we just go to the taper, maybe 0.2. So we have a smaller folder. That's it. Okay. And then you can press enter. And then if you don't need the parametric anymore, you can delete this one. You can delete this one. And then you have your stones there. Okay. And then the last one is you need a cutter from the top. So you can go to the gem cutter. Okay. And you can choose from your styles. I prefer this one, it's much more better. So I just adjust this one a little bit smaller. I prefer to have a smaller cutter to help my settlement to have enough area for drilling. I don't want to make it bigger. I prefer to add girdle thickness, okay, to have a little bit notch again for a good setting. And that's it. And then press enter. So you need just two cutters, and that's it. And then you can do Boolean difference. And this is the final result. And then I believe that I have it there. Yeah. That one. And what? So let me hide So this is appropriate for, as you know, this is good for presetting. Normally, for this high-end jewelry, we don't use drawings, as I'm sure a lot of people knows about that. Just mention for the people you don't know. So we don't use the drawing for this kind of thing, and we allow the settlement to take out the drawing from the surface. So the drawings is so shiny, it's too so small, and it's nice. Don't worry about these things. It's very normal. We even I believe that after printing, you cannot see this kind of facet shape things. It doesn't make any problem for your piece. And the final is super cool. And this is the final piece that we have.
It's super nice. And we see that people is talking a lot about this tool. So as you said at the very beginning, one, because metal is becoming so expensive, so everyone is trying to make the pieces lighter, but also, as you were saying, it adds beauty to any design when it's about the stone reflection. So yeah, we got it in, as you said, in the 3.10. This year, 2025, has been a big year for MatrixGold. We have been adding a lot of tools, fixing things that, or improving things that people were asking for. So I always like to say to everyone, thank you for all the feedback that they are bringing, because at the end of the day, this is what makes this software grow. We get a lot of feedback because, as you can see here today, we have customers, everyone in the world with different demands, different needs. So it's good when you can put a year like the 2025 and try to add all this feedback in our software. Chesku, Derek, Mosen, man, it has been amazing. All right, I believe that this is the time to call it a day. Chesku, Derek, Momo, again, has been a pleasure.